What's going on, guys? It's Jimmy here. We got some disturbing news today. Take a look here. North Korea threatening nuclear retaliation over U.S. displays of military force. And you can see another thing here. North Korea warns U.S. may have given it the green light for a nuclear attack as the U.S. lands a nuclear submarine on the border of North Korea and South Korea. Yeah, and take a listen here and let me know your thoughts in the comments.
This morning, nuclear tensions between the U.S. and North Korea escalating as the U.S. shows its military support for South Korea. The North blasting the U.S. for, quote, reckless military moves after this U.S. nuclear-armed ballistic submarine docked in the Korean peninsula. North Korea's defense minister threatening possible nuclear retaliation.
Rhetoric like that, it's incredibly dangerous. We're not there to instigate.
This is the first time in 4 decades an American nuclear submarine has docked in South Korea. ABC's Martha Raddatz boarding the USS Kentucky for an exclusive look.
This is where the missiles would be launched from.
Yes.
The Kentucky is capable of carrying up to 20 nuclear-tipped ballistic missiles, each of them carrying up to a dozen nuclear warheads. The U.S. military says it's a reflection of American security commitments to South Korea as it fights back against North Korean aggression.
Are you worried about the possibility it could backfire?
I am very confident in our own nuclear deterrence.
The nuclear submarine is more than 200 miles south of the DMZ, or the Demilitarized Zone, the border that divides South and North Korea. This is where the Pentagon says 23-year-old American soldier Travis King intentionally crossed over into North Korea this week without authorization. Since King was taken into custody, U.S. officials say they've been unable to reach North Korean authorities to secure his release.
We want to bring him home. We don't know his condition. We don't know where he's being held. We don't know the status of his health.
Well, as for the nuclear warnings from North Korea, the Pentagon says the U.S. is committed to peace and security in the Korean peninsula and that the threats only deepen the U.S. cooperation with South Korea.
North Korea said, quote, I remind the U.S. military of the fact that the ever-increasing visibility of the deployment of the strategic nuclear submarine and other strategic assets may fall under the conditions of the use of nuclear weapons specified in the DPRK law on nuclear force policy. Sunam said in a press statement carried by North Korea's Central News Agency. North Korean threats against the U.S. escalated 10 days ago when the DPRK, Democratic People's Republic of Korea, alleged that U.S. Air Force jets violated airspace over the East Sea several times. They said sending a U.S. nuclear submarine to the Korean Peninsula would create a very dangerous situation, bringing the region closer to the threshold of nuclear conflict. And you know, this is where you walk a very fine line between showing a strength in the region and pushing somebody over the edge to actually start a war. North Korea is launching missiles almost on a daily basis. And, you know, North Korea could say, hey, you started the war. And on the other hand, you'll have critics of, you know, like the President Biden saying, you know, oh, you're too weak. And, you know, so you got, you know, both sides there where you can't be too weak. You have to show a strength. And but on the other hand, if you push your opponent, your enemies too far, you could start a war. It's a very, very tricky line to watch there. And Seoul says that a North Korean nuclear attack would mean the end of the regime, saying here that the U.S. submarine's port visit is only a, quote, legitimate defensive response to their ongoing nuclear threats. Seoul told North Korea Friday that using its nukes would mean the end of Kim Jong-un's regime. after they threatened nuclear retaliation over growing U.S. military deployments on the peninsula. Retaliations between the two Koreas, North and South Korea, are at one of their lowest points ever, with the North ramping up weapons testing as Seoul and Washington boost military cooperation. Their weapons defense minister Thursday warned that this week's port visit of a U.S. nuclear-capable submarine to Busan, the first visit since 1981, could meet the legal threshold for the North to use its nuclear weapons. As Seoul and Washington have made clear before, any nuclear attack on the alliance will face an immediate, overwhelming, and decisive response, the defense ministry said in a statement on Friday. Were this to happen, quote, the North Korean regime will face its end, they added. Yeah, so sounds pretty serious to me, but you can let me know your thoughts here in the comments. We also have Russian President Vladimir Putin's opponent, the guy who held a mutiny against him, Prigozhin, the Wagner Group boss, has resurfaced in Belarus and has told his Wagner Group fighters that they have, quote, the biggest job in the world coming up. Very interesting. We have potentially not seen the last of him. Yeah, Prigozhin, the Wagner Group boss, shared a video that appears to show him in Belarus and might be mounting something here yet again, saying that he promises his fighters that more deployments are coming, but maybe not in Ukraine. He says, quote, right now what is happening on the front is a disgrace that we don't need to get involved with, he said in a nearly 6-minute video. Of course, it's in Russian, shared on his personal Telegram channel. Instead, Wagner forces will stay here in Belarus for some time, he said in a darkly lit video, tents visible in the background, where the men will defend the country in the event that it becomes necessary. Following his aborted mutiny, which was only a few weeks ago, in which he accused Russia's military leaders of bungling and lying about the war in Ukraine. Wagner fighters were supposed to relocate to a training camp in Belarus under a deal negotiated by the Belarusian president Lukashenko. Prigozhin also told them to prepare for future deployments abroad, including a new journey to Africa, and perhaps we will return at a time when we are confident that we will not be forced to shame ourselves. He said, quote, this is not the end, it's just the beginning. The biggest job in the world is coming up very soon. We'll definitely be traveling all over the world. Yeah, very interesting. So let me know your thoughts here. Do you think that there'll be any more mutinies from them? Do you think that Putin has put an end to that or not? Interesting thoughts here. North Korea is definitely not very happy. I'll keep you up to date what happens here with that as well. If you haven't yet, click the bell icon after you subscribe down below so you don't miss out on any new videos. It's completely free to do so. Also, thanks for liking and sharing these videos. Click here to see a new warning for millions of Americans, or click here to see what Putin just did is going to cost Americans billions of dollars. Thanks for watching, guys, and I will see you in the next video.